Am I the a-hole for not changing my name on DoorDash after getting married? My husband, 30M, and I, 28F, got married a little over a year ago. Anyways, I ordered DoorDash for us for lunch yesterday, and when it arrived, he got it from the porch. When he came back to the kitchen, he was visibly upset, and when I asked what was wrong, he asked me why my last initial on the order was still my maiden name. I told him I never really thought about it. He asked me to change it, but I refused and told him he was overreacting because it wasn't that important, as it's only for the dasher to get whatever we ordered from the restaurant, and you don't even have to put your real name. He blew up and wouldn't talk to me for hours. He eventually said if I was ashamed of using his last name, then I should just say so, and without letting me speak, he left to stay at his parents' house. He hasn't responded to any of my texts or calls for the last 24 hours, but I still have his location, and he is indeed at his parents' house. Honestly, at this point, I have no idea what to think. AITA for not changing it when he asked? Or is this a start to something much bigger? We've never had an argument like this, and have had a perfect marriage and relationship otherwise. I just feel like I don't know the man I'm married to anymore. AITA has no consensus bot, OOP was NTA. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, NTH. And OMG, that is such childish behavior. Then running home makes it even worse. Does he overreact about much, or is this the first time? This can spell huge issues in the future, or maybe he is just having a bad day. Wish you luck. OOP, we have had a pretty much perfect relationship. I really don't understand what's going on. I really don't think this is a big deal, but I'm torn between the thought that I made it a big deal by refusing and it being a red flag that he cares so much about it. Commenter 2, NTA. It's a clear overreaction to a very small thing. Honestly, does he accuse you of cheating? Go through your phone? Question where you are going or where you have been. OOP, no, never, at least to my knowledge. He knows my phone password, but he doesn't question me. Does OOP have any children with her current husband? OOP, I don't have any kids with him, but unfortunately my children are involved. I've never seen him as a child until now, and it's such a change that it leaves my thoughts conflicted. Commenter 3, my wife still gets stuff with her old name. She was married prior and then went back to her maiden name. So it's her ex-husband's name. I got her. And she's effing awesome and effing hot. Dude needs to grow up and put his little fifis to bed. She kept her maiden name when we married. Again, I got her. OOP, I needed to read this. I'm just scared for what this means. I don't like turning to Reddit, but this is where I've seen the most emotionally evolved people. Commenter 3, really weird that this is cropped up when you say it's completely out of character. Hopefully he chooses to talk to you like a grown-up instead of running to his parents. But maybe for the best. Is there something he's not telling you? Job, cheating, finances? Hard to know. But it's not your job to mother it out of him. Yeah, I find some surprisingly solid advice here. Lots of bad advice too. But if you're a reasonably sane person, you can discern which is which. Good luck and update us if you feel like it. OOP, I'm not sure if there's something he's hiding. He manages most of the finances except the mortgage since it was my house before we got married. He makes more money than me, so I doubt that's the issue, especially since everything else is working and seems to be getting paid. I definitely will update when I figure more out. This is just the most wild situation I've ever been in, and it's hard when I can't figure out for the life of me why it means so much to him to literally leave for 2 nights already, and I don't know when he'll even speak to me to see where we're going from here. Commenter 4, his reaction is concerning. But so is yours. If it really isn't a big deal, why not change it? It's obviously important to him, and from what you said here, it's not important to you. OOP, this is my dilemma because the initial argument is already done. I've messaged him that if it's that important I would do it, but he hasn't responded in over 24 hours. My best friend came over, and she told me it's not worth what he's putting me through, and on one hand I feel like it's a control issue, and on the other hand I don't want to throw away 5 years of my life between relationship and marriage. Update, 2.5 weeks later. AITA for not changing my name on DoorDash after getting married. Update, I am definitely an idiot, but the best lessons are learned firsthand. A few days after my original post, he came home. His mother had called me. We have always been on fairly good terms, asking what was going on since he wouldn't tell her. I explained the situation, and she told me she was very disappointed in him for starting all this over something so simple regardless of if I was willing to change it or not. Anyways, he came home and apologized with the most sincere apology I've ever received in my life. Or so I thought. This weekend his job had a Labor Day party where all his coworkers and their families were invited over to the boss's house. We don't normally go to these sort of things because our families are usually doing things the same days, but this time we decided to go since my children were with their dad and our families were out of town. We get there, and I'm meeting a lot of new people, but I'm most looking forward to meeting Danny, the guy I assumed was his best friend since he's always talking about him. Danny is nowhere to be found until this drop-dead gorgeous woman walks in. Turns out Danny is actually Danny, short for Danielle. I kept my cool at the omission of her gender, but it all clicked when her and I had a conversation. She is probably one of the most progressive women I've ever met, but not in an aggressive manner. I honestly think I could be really good friends with this woman. She's so poised and genuinely nice. She told me she recently got engaged. The funny thing is she owns a side business, so she will not be changing her last name. Apparently my husband made a fool of himself to her as well by saying her fiancé wasn't a real man, because he's okay with that. She told him off and didn't speak to him for a few days. She said he apologized, get this, before he apologized to me. Anyways, it turns out that whole argument was a projection of his own inner feelings and the discrepancy between him and Danny. I kept my cool at the party, but in the conversation I had with him later, he admitted to having a crush on her. I was so livid and hurt by this I kicked him out. I'm going to be calling divorce lawyers today because I'm done and will not spend the rest of my life worrying if he has something going on with one of his coworkers. I'm just thankful that the house was mine before we got married. Top comments. Commenter 1. When it's something minor that causes a big fuss, it usually almost always projection that has a bigger meaning behind it. SMH jerk. Please update as this goes if you can. Commenter 2. Kicking him out and moving toward divorce sounds like a strong, self-respecting decision. Commenter 3. I hope you and Danny can become friends. You have one thing in common at least, this bozo being rude and misogynist to you about your surname. Best of luck to you. Commenter 4. Glad you figured out what was actually happening. Maybe keep Danny after the divorce? She sounds so cool and I feel like you two would be great friends.